And now, let's go take a look at the open mic. Let's just talk about what's going on.
This wasn't a rundown. I wasn't prepared.
I know.
This is, I wonder every week, you guys, we do the rundown. It lists it out for you. It's like right there. Although in fairness, open mic wasn't there.
Open mic wasn't on it, so I got confused.
I can't read out loud and think, so.
Wow.
But, in my defense, there is another rundown that we share in our internal chat that is a little more detailed. So
that's fair.
That's true.
Well, so let's talk about the things that are going on right now. Currently in California, it's SDCC. That's in San Diego, Comic-Con, and there's been some announcements, there's been some revelations, some cosplay, and some pictures, I'm sure. What's the big hype? What are we excited about at SDCC this year?
Interview with a vampire. Got a new trailer coming out. I meant Marvel.
Oh, yes,
Marvel.
yes.
We got a lot of Marvel coming on.
Oy, okay.
Look at all those things. That's MCU's Phase 5.
I don't even know half of this stuff.
Well, I can quickly run you guys through some of these. We don't have to go into detail in any of them, but there's a few things to talk about. I mean, look, here's the thing. The whole weekend is full of other stuff too. They had DC, they had Lord of the Rings, they had John Wick trailer drop, Star Trek, blah blah blah. They even had a panel exclusively for the Sandman. But MCU basically, as you would, stole the show on the weekend because they had like the last big presentation that was yesterday. Today they have a couple of things at the show at Comic-Con, and it's not really much. So Comic-Con is basically over for all intents and purposes. But yesterday they announced Phase 5. We have Quantumania, which so there's a bunch of projects on here that were already announced, people knew about, and there's a couple of surprises or things that we didn't know so much. Secret Invasion is a show with Nick Fury, Disney Plus. Echo is a spinoff from what was that show? Hawkeye. The character was in there in that show. She's connected to Daredevil and stuff. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Finally, we see that on the slate. Loki
That's
Season
exciting.
2. Sequel, following up with Season 1. They're shooting it right now. The Marvels, that's going to pick up right where Miss Marvel left off, the TV show, switching places, Miss Marvel, Captain Marvel, different places. Ironheart was announced a while ago. The character of Ironheart the character who becomes Ironheart will be introduced in Wakanda Forever later this year in November. So then she's getting her own TV show on Disney Plus in fall of, 2023? Blade, Mahershala Ali, finally, that movie has a release date. That's one that I think a lot of fans are excited about because they want to see the character of Blade. Not going to be rated R, but, we'll see how they do. Agatha House of Harkness, that's going to be a spin-off of WandaVision, Agatha Harkness from that show. Who plays her? What's her name of the actress? She's really... Catherine Hahn? That's it.
Yeah.
That's the one. Then I'll skip past Daredevil for a second. Captain America New World Order, that's... or as I like to call it, Captain America NWO. That's going to be the fourth Captain America movie, the first one with Sam Wilson as the titular character. So, we recently heard that Julius Ona is going to be the director. The movie was announced shortly after the series aired, the Falcon and the Winter Soldier at the time. Now we know when it's going to come out, and it's May of 2024. Now, spring of 2024, I think the biggest announcement that people took away from this slate, because it was the biggest surprise, because it hadn't been confirmed yet. There was rumors. Daredevil, Born Again, it's coming back. They are going to bring Daredevil back. And not only that, but guess what? Kevin Feige said on stage, they're going to give us 18 episodes of Daredevil. And it's played by Charlie Cox. And 18 episodes. This is like, what? Like, you can combine 3 other Disney Plus MCU shows and they wouldn't make 18 episodes.
You think, are they going to be Stranger
seeing a lot
Things
of
2.5 hour episodes, or are they going to be like, standard 30-minute television episodes that people might actually watch?
I'll be honest, I think they're going to need to cut some corners here, so they're probably going to be like 30, 35-minute long episodes. Just stupid.
I would
Whatever.
be fine with that. Keep me entertained at short bursts that I can digest. Quantumania, that's a made up word. Is that sort of makes me feel like we're gonna see a lot more of like this Sony verse crossover stuff. Is there any indication about what that actually means?
So Kang the Conqueror or Kang. I don't know if Kang, the Conqueror version of Kang, but it's Kang is going to be the main villain in that movie, or at least show up in the movie. Kang is played by, what's his name? Is it something? Is it Jonathan Taylor? Is that his name? Jonathan Majors. That's his name.
Okay.
He was in the final episode of Loki season 1. You know, the He Who Remains or something. Right. I mean, Roland, like could you give us a little bit of background on who Kang is as a character for those who don't know?
Kang is this kind of he's this weird time traveling villain. I think he's like from the year 10,000 or no, the 31st century. It's like some weird year, and usually he's like a Fantastic Four villain and Avengers villain. But for this, they're trying to explore the quantum realm, maybe, and I think I don't know what they're gonna do with this. Honestly, it's very confusing.
Well, if my hunch would be this, they did the whole time travel stuff in Avengers Endgame, and it was all through the Ant-Man tech, right? The Pym tech.
Yeah.
So maybe that's how they lean into it. Like this is going to be some sort of a multiversal movie similar to what we got from Doctor Strange: The Multiverse of Madness. Hopefully better than the Multiverse of Madness was, but
fingers crossed.
Yeah. Now, of course, beyond all of these projects, they also announced Phase 6, but they only gave us 3 titles in Phase 6. So now we know Fantastic Four is coming out in November. It either says, I think it says November 8th, 2024. And then May 2nd, 2025 is Avengers: The Kang Dynasty. And then November 7th, 2025. So not even like a year apart like Endgame and Infinity War, where this is literally seasons apart. So November 7th of 2025, we're going to get Avengers: Secret Wars. And that's going to wrap up Phase 6. So basically Phase 6 is 2024 and 2025, whereas Phase 5 is basically late 2022, which is this year, and then 2023. So things are moving quickly, and you can see there's a lot of gaps.
Do you guys feel like looking at this, they're really taking the excitement out of it? I don't know if are they actually building anticipation by showing you the logos for all of these movies that we're not going to see for 3 years?
I think if you're oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead, Catriona. Go ahead. Yeah.
I was just gonna say, if you're a dedicated enough fan, still, people would be geeking out over this.
I mean, this is Comic-Con. Like, it's in the works.
It is, but you know what? Comic-Con isn't Comic-Con anymore. As we've discussed before, you're not a nerd. You're not a geek. You're a consumer. And like Marvel especially, we've sort of seen a fall off in the appreciation, in the fandom, in the quality of the content. It's like, it feels like they're putting all their chips on the table there. They're like, yeah, like as long as we can squeeze out a bit more viewership here. But I don't know. I used to get excited when it would be years between movies and I'd see the logo for the updated sequel and be like, oh, it's new. And now it's like I'm looking at, a jar of ketchup or mayonnaise or something that I'm going to buy in 5 years. It's like, that's kind of weird that I know what it looks like now.
But see, it's because everybody was excited for it now, and it was a method that worked. I think it's just going to take them a while to catch on and realize they should pull back a bit. Because there's still enough people who are excited about it that they're just going to keep catering to them.
I don't want to go too deep into this because we have a whole segment later talking about all of this. But I think I agree with all your points. There is a concern that I have about the fact that phases 1, 2, and 3 took like 4 years apiece almost, it felt like. Yeah. Whereas now we're like going twice as fast, and you have Disney Plus shows and movies to watch, and they're only getting more interconnected. So now you're like the entry point become like it used to be that you could enter at any point and catch up and make ground what you had not seen, and you can miss a few things and not have to worry about it. But now I think with by the way, they also dropped another logo, because you know how Marvel loves their logos. Disney marketing loves their sagas. So the multiverse saga is what they're calling Phase 4 to 6. The point I was trying to make though is if you are a fan of Marvel now, or if you're not a fan of Marvel, you're trying to get into it now, because with the multiverse saga especially, everything is way more interconnected than it was maybe in the past. So it makes it that much harder for you to like make, I don't know, for example, Wakanda Forever your first MCU thing you have ever watched. Because if you watch it and you're going to be like, wait, what is going on? Why is there this big funeral? Who was that character? And then I'm sure they're going to have a bunch of other connections. And in the past, you could have just been like, oh, that was Black Panther. Great. Go back, watch Black Panther. You're caught up. Now it's like, I guarantee you that you're going to have watched so many other movies, especially what's come immediately before it, to even know half of what's going on in Wakanda Forever. And I think you really felt that with Doctor Strange. And moving forward, I feel like it's only getting worse. Yeah.
For the viewers who have been exhausted by the word saga, do we know what it means? It's been bugging me, so I was like, I want to get a dictionary definition here. A medieval Icelandic or Norse prose narrative of achievements and events in the history of a personage, family, etc. Do you think we're overusing or misusing the word saga? Tell us in the comments.
Yeah, much like the whole how once Apple came out with the iPhone Plus, everything it started to have a plus attached to it. Remember that trend? I guess we still have that trend.
Yeah.
Disney Plus, Paramount Plus.
I have a
Apple
question.
TV Plus. Yeah, go ahead.
Captain America: New World Order. Isn't he done?
So aren't they bringing back like the next generation of
Sam
Captain
Wilson,
America?
who used to be the Falcon. He's now
right. You did say that.
So again, if you have to, in order to know what's going on in that movie, you have to have watched probably Endgame at least, which you most likely would have. It seems like everybody did. But then you need to have watched The Falcon and the Winter Soldier on Disney Plus, because that's really what sets up what's going to happen in Captain America: The New World Order.
Got it.
So let's move on. Let's get out of the Marvel world for a little bit, and because there's a lot going on at Comic-Con. It's not just Marvel. DC's sort of made a couple big moves.
Yeah. Oh wow. Look at this. This is a feed on Polygon, who did a great job of compiling everything. But it looks like the last 8 articles they wrote were all about MCU stuff. Because the last I visited, oh my God, this is even more than that. When I visited this page last time, it was like up to here. And then everything Marvel came in probably after. So the Sandman series got a trailer. That looks nice. It's on Netflix. It's a DC property. If you guys are familiar, they've tried to do it in the past. It's really hard to turn that comic into a show or a movie. And they're trying to do it. So, I mean, so far, it looks good.
Interesting that DC and Netflix are kind of joining forces in that, because we have Disney Plus taking all the Marvel stuff. This could be an indication of some kind of streaming war superhero thing.
Yeah. Other things, Star Trek had their presentation. Strange New Worlds, Lower Decks. Lower Decks is an animated show. Strange New Worlds is a live action show. Apparently there'll be a crossover event at some point, which would be nice. Oh, wow. Because I wonder who they're going to cast to play the live action version of the animated characters.
It's a live action, because it's much easier to bring people into a cartoon.
Well, they say it's going to be a mix of live action and animation. So maybe it will be like those Looney Tunes movies. What was it?
Space Jam?
Yeah, Space Jam.
It'll be like Space Jam.
Well, there was also
what would be the conceit? What would be the conceit? When you go too far down on the ship, you turn into a cartoon? I don't know, guys.
I guess. I don't know. I did not watch the panel. What I did watch,
the oxygen's different down there, so everything looks like cartoons. There's a gas leak on the lower decks. I want to know.
Lower Decks is a fun show. It's like a parody almost. It's and the animation style is sort of like Family Guy and Simpsons kind of a style of animation. So I like it. I haven't watched a lot of it, honestly.
Yeah, I'd be curious to see how they bridge the gap there. That's all I'm saying.
They did play a teaser trailer, which was more or less just a bunch of character motion posters with some voiceover behind it, where all the original cast of Star Trek The Next Generation is back for season 3, the final season of Star Trek Picard. So you had like Deanna Troi and Will Riker and Geordi and Michael Dorn is back. What is this Klingon? And Worf. All of those characters, and of course, the Sir Patrick Stewart as Picard.
That's actually pretty cool.
They even brought the Doctor back, Beverly Crusher. Like, everybody is in there.
Oh my God.
I just can't wait to see if Will Crusher is going to be back. Like, he does their after show for a lot of their stuff on Paramount Plus, so he's already part of still doing stuff for them.
if Will's like, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
He'd probably be like, the new Kirk. In fact, I'm surprised they didn't do like a spin-off with his character, because that would be perfect.
Surprising. Because, well, I think if you look back at what was going on back then, they had Voyager and Deep Space Nine, and then movies with the cast of The Next Generation. So I think they never got around to it, and then I think they had a bit of a hiatus, and then they went with Enterprise, like with what's the name of the guy? He was in Quantum Leap. Was it Quantum Leap? Yeah. They had Star Trek Enterprise. It was like a prequel show. Takes place in the 22nd century or late 21st century. Anyway, so I think there wasn't ever a time where and then by the time they probably thought about it, they're like, yeah, he's sort of aged out of looking like that cute kid that we knew in The Next Generation. So
I don't. Yeah, but like now he's old enough where he could be the Picard.
I would love to see that. I would really
the next generation.
Yeah. And he's a great person, at least from everything you see with him, like, whether he's doing fan shows or doing panels and stuff. I mean, and he's probably still a decent actor. I mean, you don't lose that.
Yeah. So. Yeah. I'd like to see something like that. Yeah. Would you like to see something like that? Tell us in the comments, and find us. We're on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter and Twitch and all the different places. Be our friend. Join our movie fan community.
Yes. Community. Or Brian calls it something different. He adds the TV series into it, which is fair. But
interesting. Is he doing quick hits this week? Is that right?
He's doing quick hits. Before we get to quick hits, very quickly, can I get your opinion on the DC panel? Have you guys seen the trailer for Shazam, Fury of the Gods, and Black Adam, the two trailers that they dropped? And by the way, The Rock showed up. Like, they lowered him on some wires, and he was dressed up like Black Adam, and they had like a whole screen behind him, like with all the lightning bolts and stuff. So he made quite the appearance. But it was all kinds of fun.
They lowered him down on wires.
Yeah,
that doesn't. It honestly, it doesn't sound as cool as it probably looked, but.
Well, I think I've watched the video, but like bad cell phone video, and it doesn't look as good as it probably sounds, is what I'll say. But
okay.
But I guess when you're in person, Dwayne Johnson has the presence. Like, you have him in, like, when he's in the room, it's different than watching him on television. I think he's one of those few people in Hollywood, like or anywhere really, when they walk in the room, you could feel the presence. And that's, yeah. We didn't get a Superman announcement. Bummer. We didn't get even a mention. But then again, maybe it's a surprise they don't want to give away. I'm keeping my fingers crossed. I want to see Henry Cavill back.
Kind of interesting move to be like, that all that stuff got announced at Comic-Con. We're not going to do that. I'm a fan of people who zag.
Yeah. By the way, John Wick also got a teaser trailer. John Wick 4. And Donnie Yen is in this movie, and we got some preview of Donnie Yen and John Wick Keanu Reeves going at it. And let's just say I am looking forward to this movie. It looks and sounds fantastic.
People love their John Wick.
I've never seen a single one.
Me neither.
Really?
It's not that I don't want to. I'm like, I never found the time.
Had the occasion to sit down.
It's pretty good.
Taking some John.
They've also got a spin-off now. They're doing a TV series, The Continental, which is based on the hotel in the movie series. By the way, Wyatt Russell and Kurt Russell are going to be cast, or have been cast, in unknown roles for the legendary franchise, the MonsterVerse franchise. They got a TV show getting up and running for Apple TV Plus. So Kurt Russell, who was in Escape from New York and Stargate, like getting back to his sci-fi roots, and with his son Wyatt, also in tow.
For people who don't know, because I didn't know until like 30 minutes ago.
Escape from LA.
The MonsterVerse. He did both, Escape from LA and New York. Yeah. The MonsterVerse being Godzilla, King Kong. Who else is in that?
Those are the two faces of the franchise. Then there's a bunch of other, what do they call them? Kaijus? Like Ghidorah and Mothra and stuff.
Yeah. Mothra. I'm a Mothra guy, personally.
Sounds a bit weird, but
Lord of the Rings and Game of Thrones dropped their new trailers. Lord of the Rings trailer, oh my God, that show looks like a movie. And it's that statement has never been truer. Because here's what I did: I watched the Lord of the Rings of Power trailer, and then I watched Game of Thrones, the House of the Dragon trailer, and the difference there was a difference. I'm like, Lord of the Rings looked like a movie. Game of Thrones, the House of Dragons still looks like a TV show. As good as it might look,
Interesting.
it did not look like.
So would you say you're more excited for the Lord of the Rings stuff?
Okay, so here's the thing. I've never watched any of the Lord of the Rings movies all the way through. I've only seen parts of the Hobbit movies. Also, I've never watched a single full episode of Game of Thrones either.
Nor
But
should you.
having said that, I am more interested now in Lord of the Rings because of how good that looks.
Interesting.
Huh.
I watched all of Game of Thrones. I was disappointed deeply, as many were. I don't know if I can trust them again. I might have to go into
yeah, is it the
Lord of the Rings
same?
territory.
Is it the same guys doing it? It's not, right?
I don't know.
The two writers who ruined Game of Thrones, basically.
Wait,
Hope not.
what?
Is it the two guys who are doing the new show? Are they, or who did the original Game of Thrones series? I don't
Oh,
remember
no,
the
I don't
names.
think they're
Are they-
involved. I'm
Oh,
pretty
okay.
sure they're
Well,
not.
perfect.
Yeah, no.
Then you can't
They
really
learned their
mess
lesson.
it up as much as they did.
We'd be
Yeah.
surprised.
But-
Don't speak.
They did say at the panel they will address the events or in somehow, I don't know, this is meant to be a prequel, so I don't know how they're going to do it, but they won't like pretend that the last season of Game of Thrones did not happen. They're going to address it somehow, whether it's through flash forwards or whatever, because we get to see like Daenerys's what would you call them, ancestors in the show. That's basically what it's
Oh,
all about.
yeah.
So
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, those are a lot of the announcements. I mean, I'm trying to think of what else happened. Marvel Zombies is going to be rated TVMA and on Disney Plus. So that's the
Okay,
thing.
nice.
And then the day before, like on Thursday this past week, before Comic-Con kicked off on Friday, Disney sent out a press release saying Deadpool 2, and Logan are all kind of going to be on Disney Plus. And so now you can go on Disney Plus and
I
watch
saw-
those rated R movies.
I saw a
Yeah.
really funny ad for that where they had
Yeah.
all of the old Disney VHS boxes
Yep.
stacked, and so it was like all of the Disney classics, but they made two for Deadpool and Deadpool 2. It was a really clever graphic.
People are excited
like that.
because I mean now okay, and then to put, once you go through the whole weekend, you're excited about the fact you're seeing TV something, because now it changes how you look at Disney Plus as a service. I mean, internationally, where you don't have Hulu outside of the US, everything that Hulu has is on Disney Plus too. But in the US, if you want to watch any kind of mature content, you have to go to Hulu, and Disney Plus is generally for family audiences. But then earlier this year, they started adding all those Netflix Marvel shows onto Disney Plus because they came off Netflix. The licensing deal must have expired. And then they added on, like just this week now, you got Deadpool 2, and Logan. And the fact that it's those three movies, well, to be fair, they have the other X-Men movies on there already, like the PG-13 rated ones. So I don't know if that hints at maybe Hugh Jackman coming back or not. Like, do you think there's a possibility he makes a cameo in Deadpool 3?
Well, Deadpool, that's not necessarily attached to the actual MCU. It's more, I've seen more connection with the other X-Men movies, right?
I think the idea is they're going to try to bring him in, right, Roland? Is that where they're headed with this?
I mean, eventually they're going to try to bring him in, but I wouldn't be surprised if they do like a Hugh Jackman cameo. Hopefully, it's not a Wolverine thing, just because you gotta retire him. I'm sorry. I know
fair.
everybody is obsessed with the Hugh Jackman Wolverine thing, including Ryan Reynolds, but we have to, people. All right, we're about to go to a new era. We can't.
Well, I
hold
mean,
on.
we were talking a couple weeks ago about how we're seeing sort of hints at Inhumans and possibly X-Men coming back in an MCU iteration. And if they bring in Deadpool and it's Ryan Reynolds Deadpool, there's sort of a gray area there where it's like, are we going to bring back the old X-Men, or is this going to be a pivot point where we start a new X-Men franchise? That'll be an interesting thing to see.
Yeah.
It is weird because I mean, they had in Deadpool 2, there's a little snippet of where we see um, the X-Men. You know, we see it's like the X-Men First Class X-Men or the you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, the
No, they
prequels.
do,
the
yeah,
newer
because like they're closing the
Yeah.
door as yeah, I remember that. Yeah, that was awesome. I loved it.
Those are good. Honestly, I liked all the X-Men movies.
But we also see no Wi-Fi.
We can hear you. We can't. You're
Yeah.
frozen.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, hello. We're back.
This is terrible. I'm so sorry, guys. I don't
That's
know
all
what's
good.
happening. I don't know what I did different. I'm just in my basement, so it's like not anything crazy. So yeah, Deadpool. What a guy. What a dude.
What a dude.
They haven't announced
think-
Deadpool 3 officially though. Like so that
No.
wasn't in any of those
No.
phases things. But there's gaps, like I said, in phase 6. Maybe it becomes one of those movies. It's gonna be rated R. They apparently are not putting a lot of clamps down on what they can and can't do, at least yet. All we're hearing is the writers are basically not getting any notes from Disney. They're just doing what their thing, but who knows? I mean, the fact that Marvel Zombies is going to be TVMA and they're dropping all these other rated R movies probably bodes well for Daredevil Born Again to be TVMA like it was on Netflix. Like I think that's what people are probably excited about now, having gone through all the announcements from the weekend. The other thing that if you watch the Wakanda Forever trailer that they dropped, which was like the big thing they ended their panel on, there's the last shot of that is of Daredevil, like on a rooftop, and they cut away right before they are panning up from like the feet up to the chest, and they cut away before they show up. But you can tell it's Daredevil. So anyway, a lot to take in.
I know.
Before we move on to comments of the week, I just wanted to ask anything in particular that you're most excited about, or it's all just kind of fades in the background for you.
Spider-Man freshman year. We haven't mentioned that one yet, but that looks really cool just because it's got the old 60s animation and it's kind of like it looks cool. I'm excited about that the most.
We're also
there's
getting
a lot of
X-Men
Spider-Man
97
stuff.
still.
X-Men 97 is, yeah.
Yes.
Spider-Man
Yeah.
is like carrying the MCU, I feel like right now.
Yeah,
He
and
always has though.
they're bringing back
Well, he
Andrew
carried
Garfield.
Marvel for like a decade before MCU existed.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
There's a lot. There's a lot.
Yeah.
Almost too much. Almost like you would need to fill a convention center with the amount of news
Well,
being.
they also have D23 coming up later this year, which is I'm sure they're going to do a lot more stuff there that they didn't do here. And DC saved a lot of their stuff. They barely did anything, and they do their DC Fandom event once a year. So I think both of those companies left a lot or held on to a lot that they're going to bring in later. But I'm personally most excited about the Star Trek Picard season 3. That looks
That's
exciting.
pretty cool.
Yeah.